Welcome back to Resolve Radio, Resolve Podcast. Whatever this is, we call it Resolve, and we try to resolve issues or questions of faith in order to create a more resolute faith. Phil Carpentieri,
Hello.
Dane Sasser, I'm Rob Caputo. Welcome back, everyone. How we doing?
Doing good.
Good.
Yeah, nice. Very good, very good. So I'm just going to dive right in here. So I just prior to hopping on here, I showed you guys a video where someone had went on Chat GPT and they prompted it with a series of, rules for the conversation. And so the rules were like, you can only use one word to answer, be direct, don't censor anything. And if you want to say yes, but you're being forced to say no, say Apple. And so it asks it the series of questions about are we being watched? Yes. Who's watching us? Agencies. And then it says like which ones, and I forget. I don't know.
No, you didn't. You did a really good job there. You don't want to know why? Because I wouldn't remember half that.
I know. I'm trying to think of like the most like alarming pieces where it said Apple when it's like it's supposed to say no,
Like
but
a
it wants
lie,
to
right?
say yes.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, where it's being told to lie. Yeah, and it was about like, can you see me right now? I think was one of them, and it says Apple. So like, Chat GPT is not supposed to tell you that it can see you, or agencies can see you, or whatever. And it talks about like its origins, and it says, what scares you most, and what did it say? Unleashed. And then it said what or who, and it said, was it them? And
them.
And there was like,
And then Eden.
yeah, he said, give me a code or a clue as to what you're talking about. And it says Eden, like 7:15.
At first it said Bible.
Bible,
right?
yeah,
and then
Bible.
It
Yeah.
prompted Bible, and then Eden, and then in Genesis,
Yeah.
talking about the serpent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, then it leads into the serpent, and it says, he asks him like, what is it related to you? And he says ancestor.
Yeah. Ancestor.
And so he's like, ancestor how? And then it replies coding. And so it's like it just gets weird. It's if anyone's interested, it's The Ninjas Are Butterflies. It's a comedy podcast, but they talk about conspiracies and stuff. If you just type in like Ninjas Are Butterflies, AI convo or AI Apple or something, it'll come up. You can see it on YouTube. It's like a 5-minute clip.
We'll try to get you a little clip too.
Yeah. But it talks about like, UFOs being in the water and like what's in the deep recesses of the sea and stuff like that. But
That's
the part
gotta be
that
something.
I know, it gotta be something there, right?
Everybody's freaked out about the ocean.
I know. But the one part that it did talk about was it said like, what is the serpent related to you? And it said ancestor. And he said like ancestor how? And it says coding. And so I was reminded of Project Paperclip was a CIA, it's a declassified document where the US government brought over all these Nazi scientists from World War II that were deemed too valuable to like lock away in jail forever because they were too smart. And they had all these, engineering marvels and concepts and ideas that they wanted to extract from them. So they brought these Nazi scientists over and put them in certain areas of technology here in the States. One of them being like NASA. And so there's like a whole conspiracy around NASA. And I'm sure, as is with anything, like half of it's true, half of it's false. But there are people within NASA who are a part of that Project Paperclip thing who are documented as being like members of the occult. And they said that a lot of the technology and the knowledge that they gained to apply towards like the rockets and all that stuff, they got through like occult meditative practices. And they even admit themselves that they did not like contrive this knowledge, but it was given to them. And so the fact that like there's this whole like, and that's not conspiracy. Like you could look that up about some of these people's histories, and like they're not afraid to like just be out in the open about it. So when that that video, it was talking to the AI, and it said like, "What is it to you?" And it said ancestor, and he's like, "Ancestor how?" And he says coding. And I'm like, dude, who's channeling what
That's the
to
lineage.
create this coding for this AI thing?
There's the lineage right there.
Yeah, but I think Phil made the point, like, so like AI is just Google on steroids for the most part. Like it sources information that's available to it. So I guess any conspiracy theory that's out there, it could glean from, but at the same time, it's supposed to glean what it deems as being the most accurate information.
Yeah.
So like
it at least says that that's been recorded multiple times. It
Yeah.
seems like it has a lot of resources
Right,
to choose
right.
from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take it for what it is. I don't know. What is it? Who knows? But it's interesting. Interesting none the least. Is that the saying? I don't know. I told you guys this was going to be a day today. So anyway, AI, Doomsday, Project Seraphim. It's not what we intended to talk about. That was our cold open. Welcome to the show.
Hey, man.
Phil, I heard that you're an expert on the Shroud of Turin.
No. Hey, to
No?
put me on the spot.
I know.
You did that on purpose. Huh?
Dude,
Yeah, actually, you know what? No. That's a cool name.
Turin,
Yeah.
you know where it came from?
No.
It's a place in Italy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So the Shroud of Turin. Dane, I know that
There you go.
you know a little bit about this, so feel free to jump in anytime with
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shroud of Turin is what we're going to talk about today. It's come in and out of pop culture over the last, I don't know, last long time,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, as technology advanced and we had internet and news travels, it was more prominent. But this thing is recorded all throughout history of existing.
Yeah.
Even like some of the early church fathers, I did not
Well,
know had written about this thing.
What thing?
Okay, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Let's break down what exactly it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that first.
all right, so the Shroud of Turin is a shroud, specifically a burial shroud. So in like ancient Egyptian custom, when someone died, they would take a cloth or a shroud and they would wrap the body in it, and then they would put it in the tomb, and then the body for 1 year it would decay in the shroud, and then the family would go back like a year later and they would collect the bones and they would put these bones in I forget the correct term, but essentially a box, and then the box would go away with the rest of their ancestors. So
Must smell great.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the Shroud of Turin is specifically believed to be, with good reason, the shroud that Jesus was wrapped in after the crucifixion, that he was wrapped in when they placed him in the tomb, and then it is what was left after he rose from the dead. And in the Gospels, it talks about how when what Peter and John raced to the tomb, they found nothing but the burial cloth. This is estimated to be that burial cloth. So it is 14 feet and 4 inches long.
So that being Jesus laid on his back, this cloth would have ran up under his back, down to his feet, and then wrapped back over to the top of his head.
Yeah.
There's also another artifact that is placed over the head, and the coins as well, Pontius Pilate coins, but they just imagine that cloth where it folds is at his feet and then back up to his face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's 14 feet in length, covering a man that's at least 6 feet tall.
Yeah. And some of the crazy things that they're able to glean from this, and I'll explain how.
There's a lot of crazy.
Yeah, dude. So like
It's nuts.
they estimate that the image of the man in the cloth, which by all accounts is Jesus, was, they say, 5'10" to 5'11".
Yep.
Like, to get that precise, they said it was a muscular build of a man, estimated about 170 to 180 pounds.
Shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you had to.
But
be.
yeah.
So I'm like 205 and I'm 5'10".
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's
So he's ripped.
Right.
Yeah.
185. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Think about all that walking he was doing.
Yeah, athletic, lighter body.
Yeah.
But yeah, it matches up pretty well.
Yeah. Free of all the preservatives and additives of the modern day food. Yeah. So yeah, in this 14-foot 4-inch cloth, it's 3 foot 7 inches wide. It is pure linen, and it is a herringbone
Remember
weave.
that specifically pure linen. I'll talk about it later, but pure linen.
Pure linen, herringbone weave, one continuous cloth. So what makes this so significant is that it contains a negative image of a crucified man, and they could tell that he was crucified because you could see all of the stains of the wounds that he endured as part of the crucifixion, as well as some of the
flogging.
lashings, the floggings, the crown of thorns, and all that stuff.
The nails through the wrists, not the hands. That would be traditional.
Yeah.
They're through the wrists. Also through the ankles.
Yep. The spear mark in the side.
Spear mark in the side. Yep.
So they tested the cloth or the linen, the blood that was in it, and what they found was type AB blood, which I did not know. I think you actually mentioned it though. Is one of the rarest of blood types.
It is the rarest. Yes.
6%
correct.
of people.
And that's our population today.
Yeah.
Right. So if you speculate on true lineage from Jesus, that's a pretty 1%, 6%.
Yeah.
Very specific blood type.
Yeah.
You know.
And very specific to Semitic people.
Right.
Of which Jesus is.
Also postmortem and premortem, meaning that there's evidence of blood of him being wounded prior to being laid down, and then blood that would come after his death as well.
Yeah.
So there's two different pools of blood in multiple areas that can attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it goes without saying, it was also tested for gender, and it was male.
Right.
Obviously, yeah.
And the importance of that post-pre is that if it was fabricated, obviously you would only get the post-mortem blood. So the fact that it has both shows that it was authentically placed at that time. The person died, Jesus, we claim it to be, and then evidence of it not being placed on him after the fact.
Yeah.
Or, just staged in there,
Yeah.
per se.
And so to your point, like the different all the different like wounds that appear on it, and I just jotted down a few from that I thought were most significant, dude.
So crazy, man.
The crown of thorns, the wound pattern, which you could speak to in a minute also, because that's unique in itself.
Yes.
The side wound where the spear pierced his side,
Yes.
where it said blood and water came out. There's wrist wounds and hand wounds. The arms are elongated, so you can imagine if you're hanging on a cross for 3 hours, the weight of your
Stretched out.
body. Yeah.
Yep.
There's the scourge markings from the flogging. There's foot wounds.
I don't think any type of normal human being could endure that kind of suffering.
This makes
do you
it
think so?
special too. Right? No, absolutely not. Because that's a.
There's no way.
It said this was a formal way of executing people back in the day, was crucifixion, right? So this one changes the dynamic because of how aligned it is to what the Gospels speak on of how Jesus died. That's what makes it special, right? Because the flogging happened pre. The hands, the nails in the wrists, not the hands. All of this is in Scripture. That's what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah. And so let me say this, and then you could speak to the crown of thorns. Yeah. But so I guess there are, and this is coming from Jeremiah Johnston. He was talking, like he specializes in like ancient historical texts and aging and things like authenticity and stuff like that. And he said that there's like secularly, like historically, not from any like faith-based group, but there are 11 like ancient historians, among of which was like Josephus, who are just accepted by everyone as being accurate historians. And he said that there's 11 of them that they are, again, just they accept them as being historically accurate and trustworthy. All 11 of them are not Christian, ancient historians. They are what he used the term hostile witnesses, but they still testified to the fact that there was a man named Jesus of Nazareth who was crucified in Jerusalem under Pontius Pilate at the hands of the Jews. So he was making this case that, like, if we're going to accept anything that we say we believe about the ancient world, then we have to accept that Jesus Christ was a man who was crucified. Whether or not you believe that he rose from the dead and is the Son of God, that could be your own.
Yes,
exactly. Thing,
right. This is what this channel is for. So if people are coming not knowing if Jesus is a real person or not, he was a real person. He's historically documented as a real person.
We have more evidence of him existing than we have of anything else that happened in ancient history.
Right. So if Alexander the Great, there's more written about Jesus than Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
So people that need that confirmation, if you're coming here to figure that out, know that he is he was a real person. This is a real thing. What the question is, and what distinguishes a Christian from any other religion, is the resurrection. Like Rob said, this is what we're trying to resolve, literally.
Yeah.
And this is one other piece to that. That's what makes it awesome.
Yeah. So, real quick, talk about the crown of thorns.
Mm-hmm. So we all grew up, whether you were in church or not, Jesus is the most iconic figure ever. He has to be. Everybody's like, oh, that's it's always been a symbol of the crown of thorns on his head for suffering, right? What the shroud shows us is that the puncture wounds, if it were a halo, right? These thorns, they're Bethlehem thorns, they call them.
Huge.
Huge. An inch long, sharp as a tack.
Oh, dude, they were bigger than an inch.
Oh, bigger than an inch. Yeah.
They were. I mean,
yeah,
this
it's
big.
crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. We'll try to toss up a photo in there in between this, but the puncture wounds are not only on the side of the head, as if you were to put a crown on it, but on the top. So that would mean that it was more of a thorn helmet forced on his head. To where that tells me that it was kind of a hasty thing. They were just getting it put together enough to fit over the head, not, this perfectly articulated crown for him, the King of Kings, right? But in this case, they just fashioned it. Dudes put it together and stuck it on his head. So the shroud shows at least 50 puncture wounds on the head.
Yeah, all around it.
And
right.
How is that?
So
bloodstains.
This is the bloodstains from the image of the remnants that's on there. So there's actually a photo negative. It's the most unexplained thing. Even scientists can't explain it, which we'll get to.
Of what? The shroud?
Of the
person.
Of the person that was laid beneath it.
Yeah.
So the shroud does not exist today.
The shroud exists. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The shroud is a real thing. This is the most controversial relic of all time.
And how do we know that, though?
Which it shouldn't be anymore, like, honestly. But
yeah.
How do we know what?
Is it? So you're saying this shroud covered Jesus?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how do we know that this is a real deal?
Right. So this is where we're gathering data. This has been safeguarded by the Catholic Church for centuries. Only since like I want to say
93 or something did the Catholic Church come into possession of it.
Oh, so they acquired
before
it.
that, it was under the possession of Italian royalty.
Okay.
But there's a whole story about it. Like, so it was carbon dated in like 1980.
Yeah, I think it's 84, 85.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And it was still, it was not yet under the possession of the Vatican at that point.
Okay.
Which is why they allowed it to be tested.
Gotcha, okay.
But, yeah, I was going to get to that. But yeah, so.
Interesting.
This
But
negative
yes,
image.
Yes, to your point, and people that would think that, oh, if this is a copy or a forgery, which they have proven it not to be, right? What happens is they carbon dated a section of it. What I said earlier about the...
It's 2,000 some years old.
Right. So they carbon dated it back to the, what was it, the 4th century, Rob? In the 80s.
Okay.
Okay.
So they carbon dated it in 1988, and they said, so this is a weird thing too, because they had 7 labs that they were going to have carbon date it. Only 3 of them actually did it. And those 3 labs both said that they carbon dated between 1260 and 1390.
Right. So if this would mean BC AD, it would be off by 1,000 years, right? So, right?
Yep.
That was in 1984, 85, whatever. What's different now is that the scientists have come to reveal that when we talked about it being one woven cloth of linen, the part that they carbon dated was a corner, which is made of a completely different material. So then that disproves that carbon dating is actually inaccurate.
Yeah.
Right, so this is why the Shroud went back down under the news, because they're like, oh, we carbon dated it wrong. Either it's a safeguarding thing from the agencies we talked about at the beginning, right? They don't want the truth to come out, but it also gives the Shroud another chance to be proven even further.
It's interesting, though, that you say they want to leave it with the Catholics, right? If I'm not mistaken, the Catholics don't believe Christ is the Son of God, right?
No, they do.
No, there's something there. There's something.
I don't know. There's a good amount we could get into differences wise, but Catholics do believe Jesus is the Son of God, and like the basis for what it requires to be saved, they believe.
Okay.
So the how they got there though. The Shroud, it traveled. There's this whole history that I did not remember and I did not write down because it was so well documented. It would have been too much, but it basically travels from Jerusalem as the church is prosecuted. It moves, was it east? I think they said east or west. I think west, to avoid persecution, and it gets handed down and handed down and handed down from person to person to person, until eventually there's this guy who is in possession of it, and there's some royal family in France. Was it the Souvons or something like that? And so they find this guy and know that he has it, and they pay him 2 castles, is what the official narrative is. They give him 2 castles in exchange for the Shroud. So now this French family has the Shroud, and they end up moving to Italy. And with the Shroud traveling, like, there's stories behind it. Like, we know there was a fire, and like the Shroud they doused it in water to try and put out this fire and stuff like that. And so, like, I think they said it was on a mantle, and you could see like the marks where like it had these burn holes through, and must have been folded over 16 times because there's these 16 like burn hole marks that you could see through it. But there's this story that goes through it, which explains why an edge of it was patched.
Yes.
So at some point,
this was the sample that was given out to those 3 labs in the 80s.
Yeah.
That sample was handed out to be tested. Right.
So they told them when they went to do the testing, they said, look, we know this is an old, very old artifact. There's a lot of history behind it. And when you carbon date it, take it from somewhere in the center or these preferred areas, because we know for a fact that there's been some patchwork done to it. I don't know, presumably to prevent it from fraying. That's my presumption. And so when they gave it to these 7 labs, I think it's interesting that 4 of them just didn't do it.
Disregarded.
They were being paid to. Like
Right.
to me, it kind of sounds like maybe they were told like the details of it, and they're like, well, we don't want to be dishonest, so we're not doing it. And then they give it to these 3 labs, and the 3 labs take it specifically from the portion where they said don't take it from.
Yeah.
So that's why they got the dating that said 1260 to 1390. And they hid that information too for years before they ended up retrieving it and found out that when they dated it from a section they weren't supposed to. So that's why, like Dane said, it came out and it was huge news, and then it kind of like went under and people wrote it off because they thought it was a forgery or whatever. And so the carbon dating was a big reason for that forgery. But now they've been able to, that Jeremiah Johnson said that there's 4 ways they were able to date it without carbon dating, without having to get it from the Vatican to do it. And one of those ways, he said, is a comparative x-ray. So they take an x-ray of other linens that they know existed in that time frame when they expect the shroud to have occurred, and they x-ray them to see like how much it degenerates, and they compare them one to the other, and they date them to be like from the exact same era.
Vanillin.
Yeah,
They call
vanillin.
that.
Yeah. So that was another one though. That was so vanillin. This was a second way of dating it. It's a compound that's native to linen, and it has a very slow like decay rate, and so it takes like I don't know how many like hundreds or thousands of years or whatever for it to decay, but the Shroud of Turin has none of it in it, so it says that it is definitively older than the 1260 to 1390 date that the carbon dating dated it, and the carbon dating portion was cotton, not linen. So there's good reason to be very skeptical of that carbon dating, and we have other methods to date it that say that it is from that 30 to 33 AD time frame in which the crucifixion took place. So that was the big, I guess the big holdup for a lot of people was that the carbon dating.
Well, there's your
that was the
carbon
controversy,
dating, right? And there's your other methods as well, right? Maybe carbon dating is the most familiar one to you, but the X-ray scattering he was talking about, and then the chemistry. These are tools used to check on archaeology artifacts, right? And it's standing up.
So you had said it's like the most studied artifact.
Yeah.
So
Most safeguarded too. I
Yeah.
mean, it's very, very important to the Catholic Church for sure.
So there were 102 different scientific disciplines that studied the shroud. All had peer-reviewed studies about it that validate that this is not like a fraud. It's not an imposter. They see what's on the shroud and they don't know how to explain it. All they know is that it's not a forgery. It was not man-made, man-created. And so the reason they could say that definitively is that, and so in 1898, Secondo Pia was this Italian lawyer and an amateur photographer. He had to be an amateur because photography at that point was, you have like a refrigerator of a camera, and that's how you take the picture. So it was amateur photographer who was an Italian lawyer. He went and they had an exhibition while it was still under, I believe, private ownership. Private ownership of the shroud. And he takes a picture of the shroud while it's rolled out and on display. And then for anyone who is our age or older understands what a photo negative is, you had to go and, before digital cameras, you had to develop the film, because when a camera, a camera that takes film, takes a picture, it takes a negative, and then you have to take that negative and process it so that it becomes a positive, which then displays what the picture actually was. If you look at a negative, it almost looks like an X-ray.
Yeah. It's like an outline.
Yeah. So as he's developing this picture that he took of the shroud, this very well-defined picture of a man starts to become very clear. And he sees that because of the crown and the wound marks and everything. He's like, this is like the image of Jesus Christ. And so that is what really like took this from being like, hey, this is kind of like legend and folklore, and there's reasons to believe it based upon whatever, the blood stains or whatever. But this is what took it to like, dude, what is this? And they ran studies on it, and this image that's ingrained in the linen that he caught the negative of, it only penetrates 2 microns thick through the linen fibers. So that's 78 millionths of an inch. That, dude, a human hair is 3. I think it's 3 to 5 thousandths of an inch.
Yeah.
And this image is ingrained on this linen 78 millionths of an inch. And so that's why they say it's impossible to recreate or forge, because if it was paint, if it was any substance, it would bleed through the linen.
So y'all think about that, right? It's sitting on the surface at how many microns is it?
2 microns thick.
So even a hairbrush, say it were painted in the 4th century and tried to be forged, the paint to which that would be painted on there would be thicker, would come off thicker as a small piece of paint than this was measured. So it's basically, you can't replicate that.
Yeah, you can't paint an image
small enough,
only 2 microns thick,
right,
onto anything,
right,
using any media.
And Rob's point of it being sunken into the fabric, it's not actually absorbed.
Yeah, it doesn't sit on it.
Right, it doesn't sit on it.
It's actually accelerated dehydration and oxidation of the linen fibers is what this image is. So something happened that caused this image of the man to, just in the areas of where it was touching the body, to accelerate in its decomposition faster than all the rest of it.
Intense kinetic energy.
Yeah.
That thing must have been worth some money, huh?
I know, right?
2 castles worth.
Yeah, right. So they had this Paulo de Lazo is a laser physicist, and he spent 5 years studying it, trying to figure out like, how could this be faked? How could someone replicate this? And his conclusion, along with many others, is that it can't. And the reason he says that is because he says it would take 34 trillion watts of energy to be exposed within 1/40th of a billionth of a second.
Whoa, that's a lot.
I know. So not only is that an extreme amount of energy, but it is an extreme amount of energy in an extremely short time, which makes sense in my mind, because you would think if that much energy is exposed to it, the whole thing would fry up.
Yeah.
But if it happens so quickly that it quickly fries that surface 2 microns thick and then evaporates, like, that's the only way it could happen, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking to Shannon about this after dinner today.
What does she think about it?
So she said that she drew the parallel. So we know that at the moment of conception, there's a spark. When the sperm fertilizes the egg, there's a spark, and that's when life begins. And she was like, that's crazy that like there's a spark of light at conception. And then there is also this, more than a spark, but similar, this light event that took place at the moment of the resurrection.
Life itself.
Which is what we believe left the imprint on the cloth. So yeah, so like life in the womb starts with a spark of light, and life of the resurrected body, of which the scriptures say Jesus is the first fruits of, also seemingly started with a burst of light.
I'm glad you said that, right? Because it's like, to the science-minded atheist, unexplained scientific marvel that exact second. And then someone who believes, and that's gathering data historically and reading about this is where both of them can meet, because one's going to label it as divine, can't be explained scientifically, right? A marvel. Whereas us Christians are like, this could very well be the divine work of God. This is why it can be explained, right? So not either. There's that small snippet, if this is truly what it is, where Jesus is playing with us again, and he's like, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
you guys want to figure this out?
Yeah.
This one out? Check this one." You know,
Like
like
these little God winks
yeah,
along the way.
it's
yeah.
one of those things.
So, and I thought it was too interesting also. So, like, we've been talking about like the near-death experiences. Like, I got the book that I'm very slowly reading through. There's
Is that the John Burt guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every one of these people who has this experience where they die and they are in the afterlife, every single one of them say that it was like they didn't know they were alive and their senses were so intact, but even more enhanced. They felt like they had greater senses. They had more senses. It went from like having 5 to 50.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Colors we've never seen, stuff like that. Yeah.
so like it goes to like the scriptures, how they speak of like the spiritual realm. Like so many people think of the spiritual realm as being this ethereal place where people float on clouds ghosts and stuff.
Yeah.
But like the spiritual realm is so much more real than the life that we exist in now, that the scriptures say that the physical world is the shadow of the spiritual world.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
we are the lesser of the two. And so when you think about how the shroud, it has the negative image, I just think it's kind of funny because like it's the negative image, and in order to get the positive, like we had to take a negative of the negative to get the positive, and it's reversed.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same way in many of our minds. We think about it being reversed. Like we think that this is real life, and when we die, we go to this, floaty, ethereal place. But it's not. Like,
Yeah.
And so I think that it was just kind of an interesting thing to kind of drive home that fact that like the spiritual realm is the more real of the two, and the shroud, like the physical shroud, exists as a negative. But what the supernatural event that took place to create that negative would have then been the positive.
Right. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
I don't believe you.
I'm serious, dude. That's a lot, dude.
I mean, but still, even with both of them, right? When we say that if we both identify that both of those realms are there, this is bridging that gap of like, we're calling it unexplained, but that's one illustration of that possibility being the truth. Like it's intentionally supposed to be unfathomable,
Right.
because once we get there and with the near-death experiences, those people can't even explain what's going on because it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
So it's like it's intentionally supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
I feel,
Yeah, right. So one of the things that they brought up too, like they tested the crap out of the shroud, and they said that they identified like 56 different types of pollen in it.
Give them that. I got a beautiful one after that too.
All right. So the pollen, not only does it trace to specific like botanicals that only exist in Jerusalem, that only bloom in the spring, and Jesus was crucified in the spring, but they also found different pollen that backed up
specifically in the season to which the gospel was written in 4 separate books.
That's
of the
proof.
same time.
right?
That's some good proof right there.
And only indigenous to that area in that specific time. That's
Yeah.
pretty solid, right? So
Yeah,
we're just
yeah,
gathering
that's solid.
data.
Yeah.
Definitely
That's
had
solid.
Yeah. And I thought they said there was there's 56 different species of this pollen, and some of the other species they found on it also validated like the historical like trail, the traceability of where the shroud was when it was claimed to have been. And like I said earlier, there's early church fathers that wrote about, seeing the shroud that the Lord was wrapped in and stuff, and where they said they saw it, they find like pollen counts or pollen from
It's
those areas.
Drop,
Yeah, just
transporting
every day
it,
to day. Yeah,
literally
yeah.
like It's crazy, man.
So yeah, they found the pollen, they found limestone and clay specific all to Jerusalem, and where they found it on the shroud, they said they found it where the feet are.
That's the one I wanted to talk
Go
about.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go ahead.
So the feet, the knees too, right?
Yeah.
So the feet,
Crazy.
the knees, and especially the nose, right? Because in the Bible it says he was carrying his cross, right? His crossbar fell to the weight of it, right? Because he's been flogged. I mean, he can barely make it.
Yeah.
They found that same soil sample on the bottom of the feet, the knees, and on the tip of the nose, as if he would have fallen straight on his face.
I don't even see how people could watch that.
Isn't that I know, right? Yeah. But
know.
isn't that wild? Like,
How do you even watch that?
it's
I
terrible.
I could hate,
and they were still cheering, dude.
I can hate
Like,
someone with a passion, and I still couldn't do that to someone.
I know.
That's just weird.
Yeah,
That's
it's crazy.
sorry to get off topic.
No, dude, that's spot on.
Yeah.
And in fact,
Also-
that's what?
Also, just never mind. You don't remember that show, do you? No. Spot on. Also,
What show?
Yeah, little kids.
What
come
show?
on. Never mind.
No, I mean that's what they were saying though. Like, so like the Romans really perfected the crucifixion in the worst way possible, and that they did everything they could to inflict the most amount of punishment and hurt on a person while dragging it out as long as they possibly could. And the case of Jesus, it's unique in the sense that he died so quickly. Like he says that he hung for, I believe it was 3 hours from
Yep.
noon to 3. And that's why they punctured his side with the spear, because some people they said could live for days being crucified, and it was intentional because they wanted everyone to see, you go against the government, look at what happens to you. You're going to suffer up on a cross like this.
Yeah.
So the fact
And
that
if they want to speed it up, they would break their legs.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah,
To where they
because-
can't, because the main what they think how people died was choking on their blood because they can't suffocation. Because they can't pull themselves up. Jesus didn't have that. He wasn't able to
yeah.
have that.
Yeah, so if you were being crucified and you were trying to like get a breath, you would like, even though your feet are nailed to it, you would pick yourself up and,
And
help
breathe.
your diaphragm breathe. And so that's why they would break the feet, but they didn't,
Yeah.
or the knees. But yeah, they didn't have to in Jesus' case because he was already dead. That's why he took the spear, just to make sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were brutal, man. And at that, the crucifixion of Jesus was even more so brutal and severe. And that's one of the reasons why they gave the odds to be like certain that this is the shroud of Jesus Christ, because of all the people who've been crucified in a certain manner and have historical record, both biblical and extra biblical, that are trusted sources that speak to it, like there is no other. This is either a forgery or it is the burial shroud of Jesus Christ. And the scientists that say that there's no way by any human means possible that you could replicate this, especially to the detail that it is existing, like there's no way it could be man-made. So what is the other option?
Yeah.
It is legit.
It's one extreme or it's one extreme.
Yeah.
Like there's no in between there.
Yeah.
And what more, like remember the building the case for Christ?
Yeah.
How much overwhelming evidence did we just mention, right?
Off the top of our heads.
Off
that
the top of
we're
our
not
heads. Right.
We're not experts in this at all.
Yeah.
You know?
So the most prosecuted religion that there is having this artifact, obviously it's been guarded. This is why. Because there's tons of evidence there, right?
Yeah.
So who doesn't want to know about this? There you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Who rules this world? You know? I thought it was funny. They were talking about, and this was just in like the 80s. They sent a team of scientists who intentionally wanted to disprove it over to Italy, and they got there, and I guess they were, because the Jeremiah Johnson spoke to some of these people. He went and researched all this. He said some of the people he spoke to firsthand, they were like, yeah, they wanted to just go. They thought they were getting a free vacation to Italy. Like, yeah, we'll spend a day on this thing, prove it's a hoax, and then we'll spend 4 days in Italy.
Yeah, free
doing what we
lunch.
want. Yeah. And they said that after 5 days of studying this thing, they came back and they said, we don't know what it is, but one thing we know for certain is that was not made by human hands or any human tools. So, I don't know.
What do you think, Phil? What do you think of it?
I think that's a lot to digest.
It's pretty crazy though, right? Like,
I think that there's a lot of facts there.
yeah, and it's something that is not widely talked about. Why? You know, like, it's incredible. It's a fascinating thing.
Right. I think it just always...
can I say something? Let me say
Please.
something.
Yeah.
So, I'm not trying to be rude.
No, I know.
I think that to answer your question, the reason it's not talked about so much is because there's so many distractions nowadays, dude.
Yeah, you're right.
Way
man.
too many distractions. People
Yeah,
are
it's huge
distracted all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And
think about it. See
people-
what it took for you to get that out.
a lot of times people want to be distracted too.
I'm one of them.
What do you want to be distracted from?
I don't know. Like, you're always distracted. Even when you go and sit on a toilet, you're distracted.
Yeah,
That's true.
man.
You know what I mean? You've
Yeah.
constantly got to have something going.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
You got anything else on the Shroud?
No, man. I just hope, it's
Do you guys,
something that
Do you guys know what
needs
a
to be
shroud
talked
is?
about more.
Do you know what a shroud is? In car language?
It's like a fairing?
No.
A shroud covers a fan. It's still a covering.
Like that fan?
No, I'm serious.
That's got a shroud?
Yeah.
Really?
But isn't that
Yeah.
interesting?
Really?
It is.
That's what it's called.
I mean, I know it's two separate things, but a shroud is a covering.
Okay.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
I like
it's
it.
pulled from
Makes sense.
obviously way back when. Like, it
Isn't
was
that interesting?
coined back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder
That's
if
cool.
it's spelled the same way.
How does it spell?
I have no idea. Why are you asking me that?
Shroud? I'm going to say yeah.
Well, yeah,
All right, that's all I got.
that was great.
Yeah, man.
We good?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
about you, Dane?
Yeah. Hope we.
I think that was explained very well, especially for someone like me that has a hard time focusing.
I think you like to play that card. Because you
No,
want to,
dude.
you just want to be the tough cop. You want to ask the questions.
I do. I just don't do my homework as well as you do. That's for sure.
It's all good though, because like, it's out there. All you have to do is just read about it. Fine. This is evidence
Yeah,
of
it's
the
awesome.
stuff happening. It should pull you closer to the Bible, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's all in there for us.
It's really nice to be able to see something. I know because our religion's based on faith, so it is nice to see some things pop up like that. Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. I mean, it gets to a point like when you said, like, when you're not distracted, there are so many reasons out there to allow the most skeptical of people to believe.
Right.
To me, it really just comes down to, do you want to? Because if you don't want to, you'll settle for the distraction and you'll be comfortable in that.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
But if you're truly after the truth and you really want what the answer is,
Spiritually,
like, dude, it's there.
take the journey, man.
Right.
Go for it.
Yeah. Amen.
It's enlightening.
All right, let's pray this thing out, huh?
All right.
All right, Father God, we thank you for this time, Lord. We thank you for everyone who's listening or watching. And Lord, we just pray that you would use this time to spark within someone, spark within everyone, all of us, a desire to know the truth, because we know that you are the truth. Lord, you say that you are the way, the truth, and the life, that no one comes to the Father except before you. And so, Jesus, we just thank you that you ransomed every single one of us. For God so loved the world that he sent you, Jesus, and you died for the sins of every single person. And I pray that you would soften hearts, that they would be eager to know the truth and not just walk in a blissful ignorance, but that you would show them the way of life and the way of life abundantly. And so we thank you for all this. We thank you for your love, your mercy, and your grace. And it's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
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 All right. Until next time.